In this section of the video, we will show you how to completely disassemble a 16 double and reassemble it as a 16 single. First thing you're going to want to do is take the 9/16 air impact and remove each one of the bolts. Then you can pull up on the motor adapter and the first ring gear and pull all the bolts out as a whole. Set that aside. Next, you can pull the You can pull out the transition gear and the planet carrier as an assembly, and also set it aside. Next comes the transition plate, and then the hard part of removing the last planet carrier attached to the shaft. To do this, you have to release the spiral lock that you installed earlier. Doing this will require an O-ring pick, as we have here, or some other sharp pointed instrument. What you will need to do is take the O-ring pick and push down at the very bottom of one of the splines on the shaft and in between the shaft and the spiral lock. In doing this, you will see that it pulls away the spiral lock from the shaft. Then pry up with it so that the spiral lock comes up and out of its groove. Do so on both sides. Push down and up and out with the spiral lock. Once it's popped out of the groove, twist it and make sure the back has popped out of the groove as well. At which point, when you see the entire spiral lock above the shaft, then you should be able to pull the planet gear right out. The planet carrier right out. Just like so. Then comes the process of pulling off the ring gear. To do this, you will need to take a wedge and a hammer and drive lightly right in between where the ring gear and the housing meet. Do this. Right next, once you find where the roll pin is, do it right next to the roll pin, and then as soon as it's in between, just simply pry up with the wedge, and it should pop right off. Check to make sure you have not damaged the O-ring inside. If it's undamaged, it can be reused. Now I'll show you how to reassemble this as a 16 single. So this is KHS 16 FF1, and we will turn it into a 16 FF1-05-7. To do this, you'll need to start again with a spiral lock, orientating it directly away from you. Planet carrier again, orientated away from you so that the opening is directly underneath, like so. And then again with both screwdrivers, one with the notch, pulling back, and then over on each side of the spiral lock. As I've mentioned before, these can be very difficult to get in, so just work with it. And as you can see, this one side is not even going in, so I'm going to remove it and reorientate it. See how it came off? The spiral lock twisted in there when I put on the planet carrier. So sometimes you need to just take a step back, pull the planet carrier back off, and reorientate. Again, push back. Then each side over, and over. That time I got it. Then it's on there. Now, take the ring gear with the roll pin, make sure the roll pin goes in its hole, tap with a hammer. All these parts are from KRP 16. Next, simply take The motor adapter. If you have to drive these apart like I am here, again, use a wedge. Most of the time they should just pull apart. Try to be light so as not to damage the metal. This one's being stubborn. But there it is, it popped apart. So now I can set this aside. Check the O-ring, make sure I didn't damage it. And now I can reinstall it. Now, take the 8 bolts provided with KMA 160 that have pre-Loctite on them. Insert them in the holes. And retorque to 50 foot-pounds in a crisscross pattern. Once all the way are torqued, the unit is complete.